What's up, YouTube? It's your boy Dickie here. Today we're going to be doing something pretty fun. So what we're actually going to be doing is I'm going to be showing you guys the buggy. Okay, and what I'm talking about, I'm not talking about traditional side-by-side. You may be thinking, you know, is it some kind of RZR? Is it a Polaris fan? Maybe it's a Yamaha YZX. Maybe it's you know, Can-Am, a Maverick, something like that. No, it's not. It's none of those. Nothing like that. Today we're going to be taking out. Well, I'm not going to get into details just yet about what it is. I'll show you that in just a minute here, but I'll give you a little bit of a hint. What it is it is a Chinese side-by-side, and it is unlike anything you've ever seen advertised or probably ever even seen or heard of before. It is Chinese, and it is both very similar to a side-by-side that you're used to hearing about, but it's also incredibly unique and different than anything you've ever seen before. So stay tuned, because I think you're going to find this really pretty interesting, and hopefully we'll have some fun here if it doesn't start pouring on me. Well, if it does start pouring, I think I'm just going to keep shooting and do the video anyway, but I'll be absolutely miserable. But yeah, we're heading out to the forest. We'll be there in about 15-20 minutes, and we'll get this party started. See you then. Okay, so here we are in the middle of nowhere, forest, for our pleasure to do what, you may be wondering? That right there. So this is what I've been telling you about. This is it's a Chinese buggy. There's no other way to say it. So it's very similar in a lot of ways to your standard side-by-side. It's got the two side-by-side position seating. It's got a 5-point harness, okay? But the thing that makes this so different is this is Chinese made. So this is not like a traditional side-by-side in that every component is designed for that. So think of like if you were to take a RZR, okay? Polaris, they build their parts, they manufacture in-house everything from the engine to the suspension, the frame, and everything is built specifically for that. So the difference with this is actually using an older car engine. So they don't use these, I don't think they were ever used in the US, but this is a 3-cylinder, okay, it's what they call a Suzuki F8B. So this engine, 3 cylinders, not 4, 3 cylinders, was used in a lot of, like, they use them in Australia, India, for a lot of small, economic, you know, fuel-efficient cars, really tiny cars, because they're not very powerful, but they're incredibly good on gas mileage. So this is a 3-cylinder, this is 800cc engine, what they call a Suzuki F8B. As you can see, it is carbureted. Now, I've done a lot of modifications to this. But anyway, this is a Weber carburetor here. I think it's the 3632 Weber carburetor. No, it's made for small engines, but it'll easily handle up to, I think, like 2-liter engines. But obviously, this only being 800cc, it can handle it just fine. Okay, I'll show you the kind of the overview of what we're looking at here. This is just a breather for the engine here. It is a belt-driven timing, so there's a belt-driven, not a chain, to control the timing here. This is a custom-built cam for this engine. It is a single-cam engine, overhead valve, 2 valves per cylinder. Now, the work that's been done to this engine, I have shaved the head on this engine to bring the compression up, so it's probably running in the neighborhood of 9.5 to 1 compression right now, so it is still fine to use pump gas. I have done the porting and the polishing of this engine myself by hand, and if you've never done that to an engine, I do recommend you try to maybe do it once or twice if you get a chance to. I don't think I'll ever do it again because it's about 150 psi per cylinder. I mentioned 3-cylinder. Now this is a custom-built header for this engine. I had this built by a local fella that put this header system together for me. Oil filter here. This is a 5-gallon fuel cell that I upgraded to. I took out the old fuel tank because it was starting to get old and rust. And this is just a lot safer, more compact. 5 gallons is plenty for this thing. Dual radiators. Again, more with the custom exhaust here. This is a 5-inch stainless steel exhaust, downpipe that was all custom built for this. Battery here. I do have an audio system that I built for this thing. It is still running a distributor cap, which personally I prefer. Now, a lot of opinions on this stuff. I like the carburation. I like the distributor caps. Simple, easy. If they break, you can fix them. You know what's going on with them. Anyway, I prefer this. But the thing that really makes this buggy different than what you've seen before, so unique, and the reason why I absolutely adore this thing, is because there is a manual transmission built into this engine. So yes, this is a 4-speed manual with reverse. Clutch, as you can see, brake gas, manual shift transmission. Absolutely awesome. So much more fun. I'm not trying to knock the RZRs and the Mavericks and everything, but they're automatic belt-driven systems. As you guys probably know, they shred belts. You don't have the option of choosing what gear you're in. You've got like a high, low, and then they're belt-driven. Well, this is actually a gear-driven engine. This engine, where it sits with the modifications that I've done to it, is probably in the neighborhood of 50 horsepower. Maybe even more than that, maybe 55. We're gonna get some action shots here today and just kind of take this thing, blast around the forest. As you can see, we're in the middle of nowhere, and it should be pretty fun. So stay with me. All right, so got the GoPro in position. We'll take this girl out and see how she does. We'll talk about some of the things that make this so unique from anything else. So we're off. A couple of things. I'll just kind of cover some of the details of what we're looking at here from the cockpit. Fire extinguisher, you gotta have one of those, because you never know when your small Indian engine's gonna burst into flames. Funny story about that. Okay, so that actually happened, and I may even be able to recover some footage of that when it burst into flames. If I can, I'll insert it right here. If I can't recover the footage, I'll just tell you the story here. So I had it out, and I had just done some modifications to the head. I did the valve timing and so forth, and I put the valve cover back on, and I guess the seal that goes on the valve head was leaking a little bit of oil, so there was some oil getting down onto the headers. Now at the time I was just running the cast iron manifold, which used to get extremely hot. So I had some oil leaking down there, and of course with the airflow, how open this is, you can see back there, just created a nightmare with oil getting down on that thing. And I start smelling something burning, and I turn around. Next thing I know, the friggin' engine has got a 1.5 foot flame coming off the headers. so I pulled over, dumped a bunch of sand, put it out. Oh man, what a mess. That was an awful day. But anyway, so now I've got the fire extinguisher here, just in case. You can never be too safe with these things. But to go over some of the cockpit settings here, so we've got our lights, headlights, left-right indicator here. We've got engine temperatures over here. We've got the fuel gauge, mile per hour. Now this mode here will switch between mile per hour, kilometers per hour, but we'll keep it in miles per hour because we're normal. And of course we've got our shifter, 4-speed manual with reverse. One problem with a lot of these trails out here is these whoops. And they are whooped out really bad. A lot of bumps, a lot of whoops. to get some decent air off some of these things. Even right now, the back end is coming completely off the ground. As you can hear, while she's revving. And we're only doing 32 miles an hour. Woo! Woohoo! So we got to be kind of modest on some of these slower trails here. Okay, so I know what you're probably thinking by now. You're probably thinking, well, man, that buggy rips. It's awesome. It's two-wheel drive. It's a blast. It rips on the trails. But can it set a land speed record? Well, I'm not going to answer that. But what I am going to do is see if she can do it. Let's go. Okay, so just to recap, we just hit 70 miles an hour with an 800cc, 1,100-pound two-wheel drive buggy. 70 miles an hour. There are some side-by-sides that won't do 70 miles an hour. Yeah, baby. Okay, let's keep working it. I'm not sure about this one. I think we can make it on the left. No problem. You can do it, you can do it. a feeling we're good and stuck. All right, let's evaluate the situation here. Oh, man, stuffy in there. All right. Oh boy. Yep, I was digging us in a hole. Whew. So this is what we got. I think what the problem is here is there's just so much of the frame that's sitting on the dirt, it doesn't even want to pull out. Okay, well, so here we are. Okay, so I've abandoned the winch idea here. It doesn't look like we're going anywhere, so I've got a new plan, and it involves flooring it and dropping the clutch. So let's try that. Oh, it's so sharp. Okay. Woo. Okay, let's get back to ripping those trails, man. I don't like being stuck. Like out here where we're at, just thousands of acres to ride out here. Really am very fortunate to be this close to the middle of nowhere, I suppose. But so far we have gotten a good look at the buggy and what it does and some of the features. Still in one piece, surprisingly enough. I haven't blown an axle or a tire yet, which I'm kind of happy and kind of surprised about. I've broken a new land speed record of 70 miles an hour, man. That is officially the fastest top speed that I have ever been in this buggy. And just to kind of give you an idea, when I first started working on this thing, when I first got it, it really needed some TLC. But the engine was just really down on power. It's probably similar to how they are when they ship these things from factory. I mean, it was just a stock engine. It wasn't tuned. The valves weren't set properly. The valve lash was a little off. And the high top speed for this was 42 miles an hour. And with the work that I've put into this engine and the tuning and the performance upgrades and the compression and the port and polish and all the exhaust and all that fun stuff, got her up to 70 miles an hour. So I'm pretty pleased with myself about that one. But we're going to be losing daylight here in a little bit, so we'll probably just get back on the trail and we'll keep ripping her.